Is the September 19th Environmental Advisory Board meeting, and it is a pleasure to see you all. Since we last gathered, we survived the periodical cicadas. We also survived the flash drought that was earlier in the summer, Tropical Storm Debbie, potential Tropical Cyclone 8, and the hottest global summer temperatures ever recorded in the past 145 years. So, welcome everybody. All right, first item is approval of the June 2024 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to?
I'll move they be approved.
All right, John.
I'll second.
Jason seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? All right, motion passes unanimously. The July 2024 meeting was canceled. Shelley, could you remind me, do we need a motion on the cancellation or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to adopt the fact that both July and August were canceled.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt that both the July?
Statements. It's just the statement.
The statements, okay. The provided statements that the meetings were canceled. Does everybody agree?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right. Any announcements from town staff?
I do not have any announcements at the moment. After we do the rezoning case, Ellison Lambert, who was our parks volunteer coordinator, will have an update for us about the pollinator initiative and some of the other things that the Parks Department is doing.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so with that, we only have a single rezoning case on the agenda, and that is the Ashburn.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Being the only one, I hope that puts you in a good mood, or you want to take all your aggressions out on me. I'm not sure which it's going to be. I'm here representing the Ashburn Development LLC, who is proposing to do a zoning case that is situated between Buckhorn Preserve and Bella Costa and is divided by Mount Zion Church Road in the middle. It is a mixture of townhomes and single-family homes that are alley-fed. You can call them row houses, Charleston houses. You use your label that you wish. The uses, the total unit count is 76, 55 townhomes and 21 single-family lots. As far as uses go surrounding us, we abut what's beside us. We have townhomes that abut the townhomes in Buckhorn Preserve, and we have the single-family houses that abut us in Bella Costa. So there's going to be on the ground, if this is approved, there's going to be a seamless transition between the two. We're changing the architecture, obviously, but as far as land uses goes, it will be completely seamless. We don't have, we do have a creek that runs through the property, but it is not, it does not have a 100-year floodplain on it. We're only crossing the creek once. There are no historical properties, historical structures on the property. And as far as the environmental conditions that we have in our plan, I'd like to run through them right quick, and then we can take a look at the plan if that's okay. We are going to, the application asks for the sign at the SEM, talking about protection against yard waste and fertilization. That is currently in our conditions. We are also preventing 2 pet waste stations because it's on both sides of Mount Zion Church Road, so it'll be one on each side. We plan to use plant drought resistant warm season grasses. Place deciduous trees on the southern side of buildings and evergreen trees on the northern side. Those are 2 conditions that were specifically listed. The stormwater devices shall be designed to be constructed so that the post-development peak does not exceed pre-development peak. The landscaping will have at least 4 native hardwood trees throughout the development. The outdoor lighting has the LED fixtures with the cutoff and the maximum color temperature in the project. At least 75% of the plants over the entire project will be native species. The project will reserve at least 50% of the existing canopy. The buildings themselves will include conduit for solar facilities. And we plan on having two electric vehicle changing stations, one on each side of the road. So as far as the environmental issues and goals and topics that we have seen in the application, that has been our answer to date. We're open to hear other concerns that the board may or may not have. I'm trying to see which version you got. You see on the bubble diagram, the RCA is mostly held toward the northern part because there's the northern border, because that's where the bulk of the RCA from Buckhorn Preserve is. The side to the right of Mount Zion Church Road is the place that is going to have the single-family houses. There's not as much RCA or there's not hardly any RCA on that side. It's going to be mostly planted material simply because there are a lot of road construction that needs to be done, and those houses themselves tend to need to be mass graded as far as lots go. So it'll be lots and SCM, the alley, and the houses. So that doesn't allow a lot of RCA on that side of the project. However, immediately to next door to us is the Bella Costa neighborhood. They have houses that back up to their RCA, and we are not disturbing the RCA except for that one connection point with a deal that took us the better part of 9 months to construct so we could build and extend Hammocks Beach Trail Road. You see there are 2 SEMs on the western side of the property, and the place that we need to discuss about differences right now are where you see on the plan there are black arrows as far as access points go. We have had to change that because the transportation department, after we had submitted this, has asked for a different lot layout. And so, Shelley, if you wouldn't mind showing that right now, I'd appreciate it. As you can see right now, it's rough, but it answers all the questions the department has asked us to do. Mount Zion will now have a roundabout, and that will be part of our project. And then the other thing it will do is we are, instead of having 2 roads headed to the Richardson property, which is the project on the southeast part of our land, or near the southeast part of our land, instead of having 2 roads headed to it, because it's only a 6-acre tract, and so the transportation department was concerned if we started pointing all these roads at that area, that we'd eat that track up to nothing. So basically what we've done, we've got it down to 1 connection point that we would build the turnout for. That would be a connection point that someday, when that property is developed, will tie directly into Frisia at Casa Bella, and make a just a single four-legged intersection there. As you can see, the SCMs are outside the riparian buffer. The RCA to the north is undisturbed, or that large plant is undisturbed. We do have some undisturbed areas between the riparian buffers and the homes. So we feel like we have tried to spread out the RCA as much as possible given the constraints that we have with the construction. I'd be willing to take any kind of questions that you may or may not have at this time.
Okay.
Shelley, have you got a list worked out for the environmental conditions or not?
I have what was in their application. I was not able to consolidate it before this meeting. Time got away from me. But I can pull their application up.
Okay, well, what I see was 20% of preservation for existing tree canopy, and I think you said 50%.
The road changes, has everything in flux, but we will attempt to go back to 20. But right now.
Well, I'd just soon stay at 50 if we could.
50% tree cover, we cannot do.
Yeah.
We cannot do that. The bulk of the
What's the intended preservation of the tree canopy now?
Well, the current listing here is has a minimum of 15, but if we need to go higher,
15.
John and I heard the same.
Yeah, I heard
Okay.
that too.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm sorry, you thought I said 50 when I said 15.
It sounded like
I
50.
apologize,
Okay,
I
okay.
apologize. I will look at that number and get it as high as we can, but since the roads keep changing, I can't put a number on it this evening. I just can't.
May I ask a quick question? Is that just the canopy preservation number, or is that your RCA number?
That's the canopy preservation. The RCA is 30%.
Just making certain.
Okay.
Did I start a few hearts back again?
Well,
You mentioned pre and post for stormwater.
Yes.
Now, is that for a 25-year storm?
1, 10, and 25, yes.
It is 25, okay.
And is that the minimum requirement for this application?
I believe it is,
It is the
I
minimum.
think 25 is the minimum.
yes.
Okay, I have a question about that. So downstream is the Richardson Road crossing that perpetually overtops. Also, downstream is the Milano Road crossing. Does that have flooding issues during high rain events?
If it does, we haven't been told by the staff that that is a concern.
To my knowledge, not to the same amount that Richardson Road does. It may get a little bit of overtopping on our most extreme storms, but I don't know the answer to that right off the top of my head.
Okay, so with those one problem area and potentially a second problem area, I would like to suggest that it would be the 100-year storm event, since you already have to do the 25. I'd recommend 100.
Then that tree preservation canopy number is probably not gonna get much bigger. Because as you can see on the site, the two SEMs that are being done on the townhome side are barely holding away from the buffer, the riparian buffer, and we're using retaining walls now. So, it's gonna be a push-pull.
Thoughts from the board?
I mean, if you're willing for us to go take a look at a larger storm, we can do that, but it's probably gonna be at the cost of the tree preservation.
I'm sort of concerned about storms.
Yeah.
Uh,
So tree preservation, are you talking about an undisturbed, like, that's the undisturbed
Put your
area?
arms around it and hug it.
So that would be the amount that we can keep the trees in.
Yeah, I
Just out of
understand that.
And in order to, I'm just putting things together for others, in order to make those, to treat that kind of storm and to retain for it, you're gonna have to have a bigger pond, which means you're gonna have to clear more space, at least in the interim. And unfortunately, DEQ no longer allows us to put trees or shrubs back on the pond slopes. So those are primarily going to stay grassed areas.
You're talking about the pond slope, you're talking about basically the dam area?
The dam.
Any
Yeah.
slope, but yes, the dam area is included in that. That was a change that was done in 2021 or 2022, I feel like.
I think it's been a while,
Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
So is Richardson and Milano, those are both town-maintained roads?
Richardson is not. Richardson is a state road.
Okay.
I believe we've been working with the state to try to get that area raised up, but I don't have any kind of timing or anything on that, and that may be in the very early stages, so I may be misspeaking.
Okay.
Milano, to my knowledge, hasn't had any particularly bad events out there. I do kind of wish Patrick was here because he lives just down from there, but to my knowledge, we haven't had anything nearly at the same level that we do on Richardson, or even what we used to get on Kelly Road before that bridge was fixed.
Are we looking at that going from 20 down to 15, if you increase the stormwater retention or not?
Well,
Or is it
first of
gonna
all, I
be
need
below
to,
15?
I need to understand what storm you're considering.
100-year storm.
Then the tree preservation is gonna go down, because you're asking for at least twice the storage capacity of what we're going for now. So the ponds are gonna get at least twice their size.
And would there be any concerns about, if the storm event exceeded the capacity of the water storage? Any concerns about impacting downstream homes or properties?
No, because on both sides of the property, there are wide bands of existing trees in other neighborhoods with no houses in the way. So even if the creek flooded, it would not impact existing homes.
So in this odd case, downstream is actually up, which is always difficult for my brain, at least. But
I mean, there's also the thought if you're decreasing the amount of tree cover and trees, that's reducing the amount of water that actually can be taken up.
Right.
So you're going to increase the risk of flooding if you take out more trees. So you've got sort of in between a hard place and a rock here.
Yeah,
And the amount of storm that this project is only a 15-acre site in this watershed that is thousands of acres. So that's not going to make that big of a deal.
you're pretty high up in the watershed as well.
But just my point is that it's only a 15-acre tract. So
Okay, so, I think in the zoning conditions, sheet, it said that if you already have to meet 25, then you shouldn't even check that off.
I think that's wrong.
No?
I think it's 10-year.
Is
It's 25 up the basin, but I don't remember ever changing this one. It's the Beaver Creek. Jensen was on there with me. Beaver Creek into the east of 540 was where we did the 25-year to kind of keep the stormwater from the higher part of that Beaver Creek going in this place faster. It was to slow it down a little bit, but I don't think we touched this area. So I think it is 10. is
So
my
10 is
understanding.
what they're required? Okay, so
Yeah.
25 would be
It'd be
an
above, yeah.
improvement. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gant, I had the GIS layer on, and I do believe this is the 25-year.
Okay. No, stand corrected.
Okay.
If I didn't have the layer on my computer, I would not have.
I don't remember doing
Anyway,
that myself, but maybe we did.
And you have not had your stream calls done, so.
We have.
You have had
Yes.
have you had your buffer calls done by the
Yes.
town?
Well, we've had them done by our private consultant. I will check and see if we've had them done by the town, but it's my recollection that we have. I know we have had them done by the private consultant.
Okay, and so did this stream come out as a perennial or intermittent stream?
It is intermittent, so it doesn't have the monster buffer on it.
Okay, but the town hasn't gone out and looked at the stream
To
form.
my knowledge, but I will check and see.
So this could change depending on what the town says.
Yes.
And Shelley, am I interpreting correctly in the maps you provided earlier? The purple along the stream, where did is that just sort of an assumed buffer, or is any of that, has that been confirmed? Like, is the property to the north downstream?
So this comes from a map that the Water Resources Department has that's based on our soil maps.
Okay,
So these are kind of placeholders, and generally speaking, they're fairly accurate, but we do regularly come across changes to them, especially after surrounding areas have built up. And so like if you look on the screen, there's a slightly more pinkish, tiny little piece that's on here that's called an intermittent stream, and the purple is considered perennial on here, but we use this map if people don't either have the funds to pay for their own environmental call, or if they just don't want to and feel like handing us an extra 50-foot buffer. We're fine with that too.
Okay.
But in this case, the applicant had a consultant do it. I think I was on that email with Jessica earlier, and Jessica Boland did confirm that we don't have those buffer calls confirmed yet internally. So I think I don't know if we've received them yet, since there
We
hasn't.
have sent, during the review process, we have sent the calls from SNEC.
Perfect. We probably just haven't had a chance to get out there and confirm.
I did notice, since we were talking trees, that there were, I think I counted 46 hardwood trees, at least on the major track that's to the west of Mount Zion Church, that were 18 inches DBH or greater. So that would be 56 inches in circumference, or like 4.5 feet. And there was even a 55-inch DBH oak, which would be like 172 inches in circumference. Are you planning, and some of them were concentrated in that area where you're planning to put the one SCM. Are you planning on doing anything to offset the loss of those extremely large trees?
At this point, we had not determined to do anything other than what the current code asks for as far as replacement goes.
And so the road,
Which,
the road that's crossing the stream. So
Yes.
that's clearly gonna fragment the riparian habitat upstream and downstream. There's gonna be buffer impacts. And it looks like there actually is access from either side. So there appears to be a practicable alternative. So why is that road crossing needed?
the Transportation Department demanded it.
Um,
There's a street stub coming from Buckhorn Preserve to the property that we have to extend by code. And then the requirement of the town staff to get that road to Mount Zion Church Road demands that crossing.
And it's for interconnectivity, and it's an attempt, so we don't have another connection across this stream for a fairly significant distance. Not as far as I'm sure everybody would wish, but the only other connection up on this stream is Milano. And then we actually don't have a connection up to the headwaters. So when staff was looking at this, the idea was that one connection would provide a fairly short and limited impact. Oh, that's not a useful color at all. 1 second, let me see if I can make this a color that works. And that this way we could get the kind of road connectivity that we actually need out here, while having minimum connections across.
Okay,
Is that more
so,
visible?
just hypothetically,
Mhm.
could they get a variance to not build that? Because it looks like it's only 0.66 miles from Kings Knot Court up to southeast on Richardson, turning on Mount Zion, back down to the Forenza Drive.
I strongly doubt it. Sorry, I've got things that are popping up and getting in my way. There we go. I strongly doubt it because of the way that variances are phrased and the legal criteria needed to get a variance. In this case, if they really did not want to provide that connection and it was for environmental concerns, they could update their PUD to waive that requirement, but they would be required to provide at least a pedestrian crossing across it in order to consider it the same subdivision. I don't think that that would be supported by transportation staff, and I'm not sure that it would be supported by planning staff. I do believe you all came in with a separated plan like that initially, and we strongly recommended for the connectivity because it will really help us to provide alternative routes in the case of emergency. And there finally. And that's really one of our biggest concerns. I understand exactly what you're trying to do, and I get it. I tried to help come up with similar ideas, but we have a balancing act, and this is trying to provide EMS and fire services and everything as part of that. And we have a policy, a long history of encouraging connectivity wherever we can.
So I'm seeing maybe about 14 townhomes on the west side of the creek,
Mhm.
and then the remaining on the east side of the creek.
Connectivity isn't necessarily for the townhomes that are being developed. It's to improve the overall system.
And so how many cars would be expected to use this road a day?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, but it would be a primary way of getting around the high school, the entire school complex, actually, if you're trying to get up and around.
And where is the school complex?
To the south, and I'm trying to do this without
Southeast.
messing up my, it's right.
So how does that tie in with the transportation aspect? How does that tie in with the no practicable alternative for buffer impacts?
I don't know. I believe in the past we have worked as staff to evaluate and try to balance those trade-offs. But I don't think that we've ever, and part of it is also this road north and south here is on the transportation plan. This will involve possibly a transportation plan amendment, if I'm correct in remembering that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. But I don't know how the weighing of those things.
Okay, because I mean, there is precedent, like in my subdivision, Tunstall doesn't go all the way over to Mill Hopper, and it doesn't cross the creek. They didn't put in the bridge.
I know.
So,
You know how I feel about that.
so, and so I guess another question I have, if this particular parcel had been wrapped into the initial development of Bella Casa, and it wasn't considered a separate development, would this road be going in across the stream?
Unfortunately, that's a really impossible question to ask.
Like, could Bella Casa originally just designed around the stream, just said, hey, we're not gonna do stream and buffer impacts, and we're just gonna have our 14 townhomes over here and end it there, and then we're gonna put the remaining on the opposite side?
It's possible. There's no good way to know, unfortunately.
From my discussions with Russell at the Transportation Department, I would think the answer would be no. To having a variance to cross that creek. Because Russell sees that
Yeah.
as a very strong connection, just based on our discussions.
Chair Mason, you also may want to think about the amount of pavement that the different plans would have, and the cul-de-sacs required, which are, pretty big areas of just pavement. So this plan, the drawing that he's showing, it doesn't have very many I guess there are 0 cul-de-sacs, and I'm thinking this will have substantially less pavement required than if it was all kind of separated from each other, because it would require those turnarounds for buses and fire trucks and all that at the ends of these things if they weren't connected.
Right, but you may have less buffer impacts and stream impacts, and you wouldn't have the impediment of the riparian habitat would still be intact along either side even if you had cul-de-sac.
I understand, but you have a lot you're weighing urban heat island and runoff versus crossing the stream, I guess, is some of the trade-offs on an environmental way, a point of view.
All right, any other thoughts?
Yeah, can we go back over the native landscaping and stuff? What are the percentages y'all are willing to agree to?
We had, as of right now, the conditions call for at least 4 native hardwood tree species and at least 75% of the plants be native.
Okay, okay. And the pet stations, did you say 2?
2, one on each side of Mount Zion.
I'm thinking the west side probably needs 2 by itself, and then maybe 1 on the first track,
Okay?
or total of at least 3.
I would like to add the condition of no clearing in the riparian buffer except for utilities.
Does utilities include SCMs?
And roads.
Whatever the standard.
The typical.
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of things we recommended in the last rezoning was had to deal with I assume there's going to be an HOA
Yes.
for this, that their covenants permit clover lawns throughout the neighborhood to enable pollinator-friendly habitat.
Okay?
And warm season grasses.
We already have the warm season grasses.
Okay.
As
I
a
didn't hear
condition.
that. Well, that takes care of my concerns.
Okay, I'd like to address the renewable energy aspect. You noted that you're gonna install conduit for solar PV systems in all houses,
Yes.
which is good. Are you committed to install 220, 240 volt outlets in the garages?
I could check into that and add it if we needed to.
Okay, that's an easy thing to do, and practically everybody does that now. And the third thing is, I would recommend a minimum 4 kilowatt solar PV system on a minimum of 10% of the homes.
I'm not sure if I can get to there, but I can try.
Well, okay, to be completed before 90% of the building permits are released. It should be pretty easy. I've looked at the kind of the layout, and it looks like there's a number of south-facing roofs that should be easy to access because you're doing mass grading in all likelihood,
We are.
much of this. So it should be an easy thing to do, and the idea of the 10% is pretty small, but the purpose is to get people to see them, and when one person does it, other people, it's like penguins, they hop into the water. So
In
that's
your
the
10% count, doesn't matter if I can get it included in the plan, does it matter if it is townhome or single-family home
I'm
driven?
fine with townhomes or
Either or,
regular
okay.
homes. Regular homes tend to be more in foresty type areas. You don't have to mass grade so much, I hope. So either one, the objective is to get examples. I'd
I'll see
love
what
to
I
see
can do.
a little bit of each, but I'm not going to tie you into that. Hopefully you will commit to it. I think that's my proposal at any rate. Many developers do. Let me say that.
I just can't tell you this evening that I can commit to that without talking to my client. I apologize.
There is a market for it. People who are purchasing here are interested in it.
Now, there's been studies done that show that houses that have it, when they resell, bring in 4% more value.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Don't doubt it at all.
And that obviously automatically offsets any of the cost of the solar PV system.
And they become the party houses when the power goes out.
If the power goes out, you have to have a special system to be able to carry that. And typically, that's not the case, quite frankly. The way, we have a very good net metering program, but when you do the net metering, you don't have battery backup typically.
Okay.
And that's what you need. So,
Okay.
and battery backup is expensive, so I don't propose battery backup. I think it's just a pure net metering program in Apex is the greatest thing in the state.
Okay.
All right, is that all of them, including the ones,
Those are all of the new ones.
all of the new
All of
ones?
the new ones.
Okay. All right.
If I need to enlarge it some more, let me know.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
I was just asking if I needed to enlarge it on the screen more so that everybody can
That's helpful.
do a better job of seeing it anyway.
I'll put my glasses on.
I will move to adopt our recommendation of the added conditions.
Okay.
Along with the applicant's recommendation.
Of course.
Yeah.
Inclined.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
New business. Pollinator Initiative updates with Ellison.
I was actually just having that thought.
So, hello everyone. All right. Hi everyone. My name is Ellison Lambert. I'm the volunteer coordinator for the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department. So I have been on board for about 9 months now. So super excited to share with y'all tonight what we've been up to, some things that I work on outside of the pollinator initiatives. I help Lisa Roschke with our special event volunteers. I oversee kind of the admin side of our Adopt a Park and Trail program. I oversee our Apex Youth Council organization, help with the background checks and training of athletic coaches, and then all the pollinator efforts fall under me. Bee City is also kind of one of my things. Obviously, Bee City has not been very active. There are 0 current committee members on it. They haven't met for over a year at this point, so kind of up in the air what happens to Bee City in the future. But if they were to come back online, I would be overseeing that as well. So feel free to jump in with questions at any point. I am not a wait till the end, let's have a discussion type of person. So just jump in whenever. But some of our accomplishments so far, we renewed our Bee City USA designation earlier this spring. And then Mayor Gilbert also renewed his Mayor's Monarch Pledge commitment earlier this year as well. We were at EarthFest tabling, so we were handing out information on pollinator best practices, pesticide usage. We shared with people that we have a Bee City designation. A lot of people don't know that Apex is a Bee City in general. And we also passed out packets of just sunflower seeds for people to plant in their garden. We have also, one of our biggest projects and ongoing projects is refreshing the pollinator garden at Apex Nature Park. Has anybody been to the pollinator garden? Anybody? Did you know we had a pollinator garden? Okay, cool. Well, I want to see all of you out there. But this has been a labor of love. Our Apex Youth Council, which I mentioned earlier, if you don't know what that is, it's a group of 180 middle school and high school students that are all committed to volunteering with the town. So I oversee them. They have to have 15 hours of service for middle schoolers or 20 hours of service for high schoolers throughout the whole year. They volunteer at probably 50 to 60 different opportunities with the town, with community partners, with anything. So if y'all need volunteers, I have the people for you. But they have adopted the pollinator garden and they are so excited and passionate about it. So we have hosted 6 garden work days out there so far this spring and summer. They go out and pull weeds, even out the mulch a little bit. We did some summer planting, spring planting, and they just continue to kind of monitor it, maintain it, If you haven't been out there recently, it is just exploding. You'll see some pictures later, but they just love it, and it's something that they can take ownership of, which I'm really excited for them about. So you can see the stats up there: 6 garden work days, 62 volunteers total, and 127 total hours of people outside working in the dirt. We worked with the master gardeners from NC State Extension on this. So I am a tourism major. I am not an environmental science major. So I am learning along the way with everybody, but it's been really awesome to partner with the master gardeners on this. They educate the students as well on how to actually plant a plant in the ground and proper planting techniques and why it's important. So it's been really awesome. You can see just some pictures from our youth council work days out there. We also added the educational signage because people will walk past it and not know what it's supposed to be. So we did, what is pollination? Why is it important? How you can support it at your own home. So that's been very fun. You'll hear more about it later.
So how big is a pollinator garden?
Can you pull up a nature park map? Can you? Have you been to the park operations shop out there? The Seymour Athletic Fields?
Yeah.
So if you go down where the turnaround is, there's a building on your left-hand side where the park operations shop is. It's all of that mulchy area out in front of it. So not huge, but there's room to grow as well once it gets more established.
Do you know, are they providing plants for the pollinators to feed on as well as nest on?
Yes, that has been a focus. We're also focusing, you'll see our goals for the future slide in a little bit, but we're focusing on like a continuous bloom cycle, all the things so that there's, nectar and food source all year round. Yeah. It's a big focus. We're also going to put up, and I'm jumping ahead of myself here, but we're going to put signage up. When the plants, die off in the winter time, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing, but we leave it because it's great nesting habitat for pollinators. And so before we get complaints about it not being super aesthetically pleasing out there, we're going to put some signage up that's like pollinators at rest type of thing. So
I'm going to minimize your slides.
Oh, yeah.
Show up.
Have you all been out to the Pollinator Paradise Garden at Chatham Mills?
I'm going next week for a tour. I'm so excited.
Oh, you will. It is amazing.
It's like 200 species of different native,
250.
and it's all native pollinators out here too as well. So that is the amphitheater side. So if you go to the Seymour Athletic Field side,
I'll be honest, I don't remember the names.
it should just be right there probably. Yeah. And then down by the end, just at the little end of that turnaround. So it's just that little path area in front. Down by in front of the, So where that little brownish path is, in front and to the side of it are all pollinator. We also have the space to the side available, and so my plan right now, there's not a ton of milkweed out there, which I think we're a Monarch Way station. We're in the direct, migration path. So my plan is to load up that side with swamp milkweed our next fall planting day. So you can see it's not that huge, room to grow for sure. And again, we'll talk about this later, but we're always looking for different spaces and parks that we can add pollinator habitat. So this is kind of my test run, if you will. And once this kind of fills in, does well, is maintained, because once they're filled in, they kind of maintain themselves too. Then we'll start exploring other locations that we can add pollinator spaces. Good. Moving on. Okay.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sad that I didn't talk to y'all about this before now.
Where are you sourcing your plants?
So I've been getting them from Rachel's Native Plants. They've used, is it Mellow Marsh Farms? I think they used before this. So David Wood, I'm sure some of y'all know him. He was our assistant, or is our assistant director of parks right now for the department. So he kind of handled all of this before, so I've just kind of taken it over from them. But he used Mellow Marsh. Okay. Okay, continued. So I am very big on working with our youth in the community. So I've worked with 2 different Girl Scout troops as well and an Eagle Scout, all to do pollinator related projects. So those are the one on the left. That's Jack. He's our Eagle Scout. He built, that is a bee motel beside him. It's also out in the garden. So he built that for his Eagle Scout project and installed it. And then our Girl Scout troops, they're in the middle. They built 2 bluebird houses because birds are also great pollinators. And they made us, I don't have a picture of it, but they made us some like colorful stakes, and they wrote the plant names on them so that they're identified in the garden. The other Girl Scout troop did, they built a bat house for us to go up at a park. So other things that we've been kind of featured in, Recreate magazine, which is a Parks and Rec magazine, they did a feature on the garden. And then in June, Suburban Living also did a feature on our pollinator efforts for the town. Did some really great pictures in there. I have your laminated copy that you gave me in my office. So that was an honor to kind of be interviewed for that and see that the town's getting recognized already. We also got the proclamation, so that's the picture on the bottom right is from when our youth council and then a few of the Girl Scouts accepted it. And then probably what I'm most proud of so far is we hosted our inaugural event for National Pollinator Week. And it was called An Evening in the Garden, and I'm sorry you all did not get an invitation to that. I just forgot to send that, so I apologize for that. But out there we probably had about 100 people attend, so it's a good little first event. It was out right in front of the garden itself. We had the master gardeners out there providing information. We had a food cart or food truck called Busy Bees. They did all like honey specific foods. Phil Barnes and Trevor were out there with a honeybee demonstration hive, and we were kind of educating people on the difference between native bees and honeybees, because when people think save the bees, it's all honeybees. So kind of educating people on the difference. And why we want to help the native bees. And they were also doing DIY bee houses, like on a little small scale. Our drill got really hot and the bit freaked out, so we had to stop making those pretty early on, but learned our lesson for next time. We also had Eva Perry Library come out, and they did Pollinator Story Hour for the kids. We had a park operations staff member who is super knowledgeable about plants and pollinators. He took people on 2 different greenway tours and kind of pointed out different pollinator plants along the way. He had people like eating leaves that tasted like mint or some sort of apple, I don't know. But everybody loved it. So yeah, the liability on that one, not sure how that goes. But it was just a really awesome event. We had kids painting rocks that are now in the garden. Just really awesome to kind of get people excited about pollinator initiatives in the town. So that was super fun. So here's our current projects. So we will be doing a fall planting day in conjunction with a different event on October 24th. So that's the invitation that you have right in front of you. So Apex High School, they have a carpentry class that built us this awesome shed and greenhouse. That's the bottom right picture. Some art students painted it up for us. So that is actually getting installed tomorrow in the pollinator garden. I am very excited that it found its way to me. So with that increases educational opportunities. We can do some seed propagation. Our youth council students have been out when the current plants have gone to seed, pulling seed pods. So we'll get those planted and see if we can get them going for next spring. It also gives us a great storage option because right now all of our gardening supplies are under my desk. And then we'll also again partner with the master gardeners on that and kind of future design plans for the garden. We're going to add, like I said earlier, some educational signage on overwintering nesting opportunities for pollinators. We're also, as I also mentioned, looking for additional locations to add pollinator locations or pollinator gardens. So I love that, y'all are already talking to developers about adding pollinator spaces. Made me happy. I'm also working with Phil Barnes and Electric on their utility poles. They've been adding native bee houses to them. And so in talks with some high schools to see if we can get like shop classes to make little bee houses and kind of partner with them to hang them up. We're also, this is not super pollinator related, but just wanted to make sure you guys knew what we were doing. So we're working on waste diversion at special events. So that top right picture is a photo of our youth council volunteers, at Earth Fest. So we did composting, recycling, and landfill. So we were able to educate people when they came up to us, and we're like, oh, don't put that in the trash. It's actually compostable. And so Lisa did a great job with that. We purchased compostable bowls, plates, cups, silverware, everything for our food trucks to hand out. So it's definitely in the back of our minds, in the front of our minds. At all of our events, we'll be debuting, I guess, our first waste diversion official practice at Latino Arts Festival. So we've got volunteers that will go around with the park operations staff members and track how much recycling we're collecting. So we have bins that are like marked at quarter, half, 3/4. And so when the park operations staff member pulls that, we can have the volunteer mark, you know, it was halfway full, and then we're measuring tonnage of recycling at events, so we know what we're doing. And then lastly, this is something that's in our parks strategic plan, so something that I am working on and would love your input on and can share with you. But we are working on an Apex Pollinator Habitat Recognition Program. So individuals, organizations, businesses, anybody can apply for this if they want to. It basically says, hey, yep, I have all natives, or I have at least, there's 3 different levels. It's egg, caterpillar, and butterfly are our levels. But they, you know, there's different requirements for each level of, they have to have 6 wildflower species, native pollinator-friendly wildflower species. They have to have 3 different native pollinator-friendly trees, have to provide shelter in whatever way that looks like. They have to have a water source, and then limit pesticide usage. So they will submit, it's kind of on them to be honest with us and tell us what they have. They can submit photos, and then everybody will get a certificate. If they want to purchase a sign, we were thinking, like, think the CPI security signs, we can make a sign in-house with our parks operations team that says, you know, Apex Pollinator Habitat or something like that. Design still TBD, but then we can go and give it to them so that it's just recognition. So they can, we haven't worked it out yet, to either purchase, donate, you know, and then funds will go back towards pollinator initiatives or just general fund. Have not worked that part out yet. We've also are considering with this pollinator habitat recognition program to have a map online. They can opt into it if they want to. So if it's like a public, you know, business, library, whatever, and they have a habitat, we can have a map that says, here's all the places, people can go visit if they want to. And then if you've heard of our Tour of Lights, Tour of Frights that we do, kind of thinking in line with that, maybe doing like a pollinator habitat tour in June in line with Pollinator Month. So lots of stuff going on. Questions on any of this? Okay, cool. And lastly, it's what's right in front of you. This is our upcoming event. Would love to see you all there. We're going to be doing our greenhouse ribbon cutting. So the students that helped build the shed are going to be out there. And with that, we'll be doing some seed propagation just to kind of show what we're using it for. I'll have all of our fall plants placed out there so people can just jump in and plant them. We will have some bee-themed refreshments, and then we'll just kind of be hanging out at the garden answering any questions that people have. So that's all I have for you guys. But does anybody have questions? Anything? Anything you want to see?
I do.
Yeah. What's up?
In the utility easements, like the sewer easements or the electrical easements, is there any push to do pollinator plants in that, or can we do that? I think we've been around this circle a few times, but it just seems like what a great number of acres available.
I agree.
All
I think
over the place.
that's probably a Phil Barnes question. He's our certified arborist in.
A presentation from who? Utilities or sort of
probably.
See what they're doing.
I know Phil has been kind of just scattering native seeds out there on the electric byways. So nothing super, you know, planned out planting specifically, but he is he told me he was just throwing goldenrod wherever he could. So, so I know that there's a thought there, but I mean, I would love to see additional, that's a great opportunity. There's no people out there.
There might be, need to be coordination. I think sometimes they go down and mow
Yeah,
those things, so that
For
doesn't
sure.
do good for
I
goldenrod.
think the last
For
time
sure.
I talked to Phil, he was saying that they'll spray in a heartbeat down there.
yeah.
to Make sure there's no trees coming up and getting to the power line.
Do a winter season mow though.
You'd think that
Yeah.
they don't have to do that sort of thing, but once every 5 years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you've got 4 years of opportunity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know.
And does the town of Apex contract out the mowing of the power lines
We
or?
don't actually. We have an in-house group that does all the mowing for that.
Oh,
Partly because when you're doing the mowing, you are actually inspecting the underground utilities to make sure that there's not any seepage or anything that indicates a break.
okay.
And these easements are like 30 feet wide or better.
20 to, the electric ones are 30 feet wide.
Yeah.
The underground ones are between 20 and 60,
The
just
sewer,
depending on the depth.
yeah. So it seems like there's great opportunity to, if they have to mow,
I
to
can-
leave something on
We
each
can definitely
side.
look into it
Yeah.
and get you some information. I believe that we had talked about, I believe that electric was doing a program under the electric easements.
Good.
It's probably in line with the bee houses on the poles too. Yeah.
I agree. I don't, I know that I remember reading some stuff about that. I don't remember the details right now, but we can call Phil and get a presentation for you guys, depending on what next month's rezoning workload looks like.
That would be great.
If nothing else, we can get the information from him and
Yeah,
we
we can
can do
share
our
it.
best to present it if he's not able to make it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I have just a second one.
Go ahead.
Second one. You mentioned bat houses.
Mhm.
I built a bat house. It's sitting on my side yard, waiting to go someplace.
Perfect.
So I will touch base with you.
Wonderful.
It's a three tier, so they have different places to go as it gets colder or warmer. So
Perfect.
I'll get together with you
That's
because I'd
great.
like to get it out of my backyard.
Yes, and I will give it to our park operations team
Okay.
who will climb up on a ladder and put it out. Yes, perfect.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of climbing up on ladders. At my age,
It's
it
not
doesn't
in my
work
job
well
description.
sometimes.
Have you all thought about doing any of the beds around town hall? Cause there's like a lot of sad looking beds around here.
Yes, yes, it is definitely a thought. I'm not sure. I think that would probably fall more towards planning, right? Is it planning? Who manages that area?
We used to, but we've moved into the new building on Mason Street
Oh,
now,
yeah.
so this is
Who
not our
manages
building
it?
anymore. But we did used to.
Do we know
and
who does it?
We've, I believe it's just building maintenance
Okay.
now. But we've looked at doing some stuff in different places. This hill over here by Hunter Street is problematic, partly because our electric lines are so shallowly buried over there. But we've looked at possibilities and unfortunately not been able to get anything off the ground. But we would love to
Yeah.
partner with Ellison and help
That'd be great.
collect
Because
and
I
do stuff.
feel like that area that's like, if you're going into the community center to the left, like that, I feel like that used to be kind of.
It did.
It was a pollinator garden.
Okay, and that whole like bed along the building there has a lot of space and it's sunny.
Oh, I've pulled some seed pods from that wild indigo out front.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's thriving. It's
Yeah.
the only
Yeah,
one
that
I
definitely
see.
did. I know I was told that it used to be, but then I think there were some concerns maybe about kids getting out from summer camp, going through, getting stung by bees, town bees, you know.
We do have to.
It's
we do
liability,
have to think
yeah.
about both of those issues, unfortunately. Yeah. And we do have some parents and family members who are a little more concerned about that. We've had a few people who their children have a very strong bee sting allergy. It was a problem. But I think we could probably do something that would at least be beneficial for, say, birds and other types of habitat, if not necessarily 100% pollinator indicated. Maybe some larval habitat for things like different types of butterflies and caterpillars.
It's gonna be tough though. If it flowers, it's gonna get.
We're just agreed.
Don't say it's a bee habitat.
No, right, yeah.
It's a butterfly habitat.
It'll be
It's
more
all about
caterpillar
advertising.
oriented
Yeah.
Yes,
with the chomping of the greenery.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The
Or
very
monarch
little
spaces, yes.
And did you all, somebody put in some, I don't know if they're coneflower or something in the parking spaces at the very end out front,
Oh,
in
wasn't
the
us.
in the parking lot,
This
yeah,
one over
yeah.
here? Oh.
Or maybe
Wasn't
it's some
us.
black-eyed Susan, yeah, somebody,
I've
We
got
did
so
at one
much
point.
black-eyed Susan, it could just blown
Or
over.
birds.
these are planted, okay, so that wasn't you
Yeah,
all.
wasn't us.
Okay, parking islands too, once you go to the pollinator garden, pollinator paradise, you will see what she has done with parking islands.
So excited to see it. I was supposed to go last month and then it got rescheduled, but I'm very excited.
Chatham Mills in Pittsburgh.
She does free tours.
Yeah.
You can all come.
Yeah, or you can just go there. I mean, if you don't want to tour and you just want.
Or not the food hub, the little, the grocery store there.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's, Debbie
Debbie
Roos.
Roos.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
amazing.
Amazing person.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Is there anything you want from us?
Ooh, see, I was just coming to tell you what we've been up to. I think I would love your input on the pollinator recognition, the habitat recognition. So I can send the link. And if y'all would just take a peek at that, it has not been shared publicly yet. It's still very, very early stages. I hope to get it out by the end of this year, just so that we can start moving on that. But yeah, I would love to have your input on that. And then, I mean, anytime that you know, projects that you have going on and you need people, like, don't let that stop you from exploring something if you just need bodies. So
Volunteer thing.
yeah, I have a huge database of, you know, adult volunteers, community groups that I've worked with. We have about 40 different groups that have adoptions at our parks and trails. So everybody's always eager to get involved. So if you guys have any sort of volunteer opportunities that you need people for, let me know, because I'm eager to find new opportunities for our volunteers.
Could do like a stream cleanup.
Yeah, so I have been chatting with, oh my goodness, I cannot remember her name, but she's worked with Raleigh and Cary and all sorts of, or maybe not Cary, but they do Raleigh. It's like the big sweep. So I've been in touch with her to maybe plan something like that for Apex. So I think that would be a great opportunity for us too.
I think it would be good if you're having like pollinator events like that,
Mhm.
is to see if you can get some of the native plant nurseries to come by and
Yes.
have some plants there to purchase, because it's good to support them. There's a lot of nurseries out there that are just doing ornamentals, and you're like, they're not native,
Yeah.
but they're few and far between that just do the native plants. I'd love to have us see more of
that.
those.
Yes, I will do that. I know we tried to get Rachel's out at the June Pollinator Month event or Pollinator Week event, and they just couldn't make it out that time. But that's definitely a thought that we want them out so people can go ahead and start purchasing and, you know, getting it in their own yards or patios, or, you know, just a pot can have some pollinator plants in it if you're in an apartment with a patio. So want to make it accessible to everybody. Everybody can support pollinators, but yeah, I love that thought. I will keep reaching out. Do you have any suggestions of other native places around here?
There's one down there in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Yes, Circle Plant,
That's
yeah.
really the only one that I
Yeah.
know that is.
She came from another one. It
There's
was,
several in Durham. I can get you.
oh yeah, that'd be great.
Would
that's
love-
where I
I would
spend
love
my
that
Saturday.
list too. If you
I
could
will
get-
happily send you my list.
Yes, that would be
Thank you.
wonderful.
This is where I spend my Saturday, much to certain people's chagrin.
I love
Just
it.
hand them your credit card and say, "I'm going to." Yeah.
All the plants, never a bad thing. Awesome. Anything? Well, thanks for letting me come chat with you guys.
Thank you for an excellent presentation.
Yeah. It's not the last that you'll be seeing of me.
Good.
Great.
You're all gonna come on the 24th, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And if you can't come on the 24th, I will take you to the garden another time. So just reach out, we can go visit. Obviously it's public, but I can show you around, tell you all the things. Yeah. Yeah.
Alright. Okay, Okay, so sort of into open discussion, if I could, we've got a couple old business things. Bill, you wanted to bring up the solar promotion on the utility bill? I know the utility is in chaos right now.
Yeah, it is. Utility is in chaos.
So I thought we had.
It's a great place, the utility bill is a great place to promote solar PV on homes. And I talked with Terry Mahaffey, and he basically said, you know, bring it to our board to discuss and possibly come up with a recommendation. So that's why I'm here about it. And I did a little blurb. I don't know whether I've talked to this before. I probably did. And I've lost track.
Yeah.
But if we could do something like that, and whenever there's an open, but I need to, Terry wants to have a vote for that so that we can bring it to the council, and Brett will support it like crazy.
Actually, I have my own thoughts about what should go on that bill. That's a little different, frankly.
Okay, that's fine. Anyhow, something like that, or what Brett wants to do, just to promote.
What I proposed in the past, especially with Drew, I hadn't done it recently, was to put the last year's power usage so that people can kind of have accountability for if they put in like a new fridge or AC, or if they get an EV and they
On their bill.
Yeah. But I've been told it's because we outsource that, and it's kind of just it's been a hard thing to change that bill. Putting this stuff in the envelope is easier, but putting things on the bill that are different, I've been told is a challenge. I haven't investigated that much though.
People do like to play that kind of game. So I do think tracking it over time does encourage better behavior, because people see it, and they're, even without talking to anyone, there's this self-motivation to beat yourself from the previous year.
That's why I think it would lower.
And it is effective.
And for the purposes of this meeting, we are putting on these smart meters. It's a process where it'll be a lot easier to track these things, and it will be, I think, it'll be mostly an online thing that they can see in real time what they're using and all that. But that's a several year process to switch all those out.
Duke's already got a program where they, I'm not gonna say harass, but they send me frequent emails and correspondence on how efficient my usage is compared to, you know, the average home or the efficient home, or you know, where my usage stands on that scale.
Those smart meters, I think, will enable Apex to do that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
But
so in the interim, so you said it would be hard to modify the bill, the layout of the bill, which is what Bill is proposing. Would it be too much extra money to put something in?
I don't quite know the effort required. I just even though he's mentioned it when he was on the council, and we're mentioning it now when I've been on the council mentioning it, it's just not been probably a high enough priority for someone to put a lot of time into thinking and playing with that. The inserts are the easier thing, much easier thing for us to do.
I think the inserts get thrown away though. I don't think they get looked at.
Yeah, I think both get thrown away, frankly, but
yeah, well,
maybe less
but
so.
when you're looking at how much you owe, you're gonna have a better chance of seeing what something on the bill itself than a flyer.
Yeah, we try to use like the paper that's kind of bright sometimes to try to catch the eye. I'm not sure. Yeah.
That's how I know what to throw away.
Yeah, probably so. So anyway,
disguise it better.
It's probably worth investigating, renewed investigation about what the exact options are, and the thing I'm talking about with like a time series would probably be more complicated than something that's just an ad. Like I assume that's what you're showing.
I look at it just an ad, and they do that all the time. I mean, they put on in the ad, "We're screwed up this last time," right? I mean, the little blurb.
Yeah.
It's really easy to do this, and I agree with you in terms of, I think what you're doing, suggesting, and what I'm suggesting work really well together. I mean, they're not mutually opposed. If you put in, if we're able to put in, here's what you did last year and here's what you did before, and then have something like this too, they might go, oh man, look what I did last year, maybe I can do better, and maybe I should go to
You could even
PB. So I think they work very well together.
Yes.
I mean, people in theory, you know, the cool thing would be if you had both, they would share It'd be great if they could share like online. Hey, look at my chart that I put the solar panels on this date, and look how much lower this bill is. But
Or you could go to a.
And what
webpage
you're saying
that
is
shows it all.
oh, I'm sorry.
You could also have it as a URL that you could go to see all the options that could lower your electric bill. You know,
Yeah.
Here's PV. Here is going Energy Star appliances. Here's and so it's not just PV, which we won't do. Of course, we want to go PV. I've got PV. I love it, but there's other options too.
Yeah, there are, and yeah, I wrote a different one which said a little bit more, get installation and a few other odds and ends, but or send them to, like you're saying, send them to to the website and a specific thing. And I did put the website in there, and that could be different. It could be a website place where it explains it all. Besides,
The tool you're discussing, someone has created that.
It's got to be
Right?
out there
So
somewhere.
we just need to locate it, and then I assume you input, right? You can probably just input whatever you used, and then it can estimate
Yeah.
for you, right? So you wouldn't need specific information about any one home.
Right.
You could probably just input,
I use this much.
I use, yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
exactly.
I'm surprised the EPA doesn't have something like that.
we probably do.
Okay.
I work in air quality, so that's kind of a different branch.
Oh,
But,
okay.
yeah.
the thing is, we need to do something sometime. Personally, I don't know how long you've been pushing yours. I've been pushing this for 2 years at least, 3 years. And at some point, it's time to jump.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do here, is just say, recommend to the council, let's jump. Let's
So-
do one little thing, or what you're saying, do both things if we can, but let's jump.
Was there a request from Mr. Mahaffey that we vote to support this idea?
That's
I
where,
think
that's
we
where we, that's
stand
where I was
prepared to
discussing
do
with
that.
him. We can say this and what you're saying, or a website. I'm good with that, absolutely myself. I mean, I think it's a great idea. But let's jump, let's do something, that's all.
Well, maybe I would suggest maybe that the recommendation, if you guys want to make one, is that something like this, or some kind of use in the blank space of a energy saving information is something that we don't have, and it would be beneficial for our town to do this, and that could be a recommendation. And you would kind of ask at the next meeting what happened. There could be something that would say, hey, from the staff, like they could report back what was said. If it's
At town council?
I don't know about. I think that the proper way would be a recommendation that would go to staff, and they could say to town council and to you guys what we said. Because I have no idea if whatever is viable on this thing, because it's a bill that comes from it's a company that does it from the outside. It's not an Apex that doesn't send those out or design those. I don't think it's contracted. So I'm not sure the flexibility we have, and with the new system, they may want to wait. So I'm not sure.
And that's possible, but I see a different blurb on there every other 2 or 3 times. Check our water bill. Check our one of them was the wastewater facility. Go to such and such a site and find out how we're doing with removing pollutants out of the water. It goes all the time. It's not like it's difficult to do.
I think it changing to helps people see it and look at it also. Like, I'm not sure if that message every time.
No,
it would
I
start
agree.
to-
Yeah, he just wants it in rotation.
I was thinking when we talked about it earlier, it was not every month, it was maybe
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 to 3 times a
In the
year.
rotation.
that
It's
they would be
whenever
in a
there might be
rotation.
an open hole, I think is what we
Yeah.
discussed
Yeah.
before.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
wish
I
I could
recall.
have found that. Yeah,
I can't remember.
when we
I
discussed.
will
It was
move to
it was
support
in
that
like
idea.
March or April. I remember.
I second that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a motion to support.
Made a motion to
Jason.
support this idea in whatever form town staff thinks is most appropriate, with the understanding it would not be monthly, but in the rotation,
All right.
highlighting
as an
energy efficiency.
In the opportunity, yeah,
I
because
still hold that second.
if there's
All
a
right.
hole there, why not fill it?
Yeah.
In the discussion, okay. All right, any further discussion?
I mean, the last time we talked about it, we talked about a rotating message.
Yes.
right? That we would recommend a rotating message. What's my water quality look like? solar, blah, blah, blah. Like, we come up with a list of things that would rotate on there.
Exactly,
Keep it
and this
fresh.
wouldn't go in, and something like this wouldn't go in unless water quality isn't in there, or some other.
Yeah, you just
important-
have it rotated,
It's
yeah.
just, if there's a hole there of blank, it's an
Fill it
opportunity.
in, yeah. No, I agree 100%. I think, but it sounds like it's a similar situation to like ADP handles your payroll for your company. They send the checks. You don't get to tell them, I need you to add this into the paycheck. So how do you actually make it happen?
I think that's
It's
how we do
actually
it here.
something that our communications department can handle. I've talked to them about doing similar things for the hazard mitigation plan and things like that in the past. So, or at least that was my contact the last time that I talked about this with somebody. Not this particular topic, but the same kind of thing. So if you'd like, I can try to figure out how to coordinate that and get you in touch with the right people. But I think that we do, I think that we create the PDFs that then go to the printer. And so as long as it gets put into whatever spot on the PDF
So we
that
do
the
drive
template
that
does.
piece, okay.
Mhm.
All right, great.
If you don't mind, I'll send you the other things that I have, just as samples. And
Certainly.
I like what Brett's thinking about. I think if we can get people to look at their stuff, that's great.
Okay, so
Thank
let's loop back to the motion and vote. All in favor?
I,
Aye. All right, motion passes.
I apologize for taking this up twice. I've
For
lost track of my
rotation
life.
also.
Well, we didn't finish it last time.
Is that what it was? Okay.
So.
Not so bad.
All right, so Njiri couldn't be with us tonight. So the community garden thing she was looking into, the Tunstall House, which had been the sort of the preferred thing, that it's not going to be an ideal site for a good location for that. There's some considerations that make it unsuitable, but maybe when she comes back to us, she can keep looking. If anybody else has any other ideas about where a community garden could go, please keep that in mind and bring them forward. Shelley, at a previous meeting, way back months ago, you said that there was going to be a transit prioritization study, or maybe I read that somewhere, that you would send the link for the EAB to review.
You are correct, and I apologize. I didn't
Is it too
send
late?
that. No, I can still send that out.
Okay.
Let me see if I have that link right now, and I can just.
Last, I know that the town has been in chaos with the utility billing, but at the last meeting, John also mentioned that our minutes were not being added to the EAB website, and it also looks like the suggested zoning conditions list has also vanished.
Really? Okay, the first part of that I knew about. The second part I was not aware of.
Yeah, and the document that's linked there, it's just a two-pager application. It doesn't actually have.
Okay, it's supposed to have those at the back of it. I will get on that tomorrow to see if we can get that fixed. It may take me till early next week to get somebody who can fix it. That's unexpected.
Yeah. Is the intention still to update the website at some point so people can find minutes? Because I was trying to find when we were talking about Bill's proposal, and I had to dive back into my email, which I fortunately had access to, but the general public doesn't have that benefit.
It is, to the best of my knowledge, I believe that they were working to either select or had selected a new vendor for the agendas and everything in the
Only 2 pages.
office online, in the clerk's office, and that they were waiting that they had thought that was going to move faster, was my understanding, and were waiting to get everything uploaded at one time so that it would be one bulk bundle of work. I can check in and see what the delay is on that and when we think that'll be corrected. My guess is, though, that the recent town IT issues are going to cause a little bit more of a delay. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of stuff. That,
Understand.
and when I say we lost, we did not do the losing. Like, nobody on town staff did the losing. It just happened. So,
Yeah, if that could just stay on the radar.
yes.
Because it looks like we're defunct. Cause
No, I understand. I agree completely.
and I also saw, and I think one of your TRC comments related to one of the projects, that there's a comprehensive plan update beginning.
It hasn't begun yet.
Okay.
It's supposed to start soon, and that's for the town's planning department
Okay.
comprehensive plan.
Okay.
It looks at all things planning department, including transportation, land use, etc. So once that gets really off the ground, I will let you guys know. Especially, I'll give you as much extra notice as I can before any meetings happen. I did find the transit prioritization survey, and I'm forwarding that to all of you right now.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Mr. Gant, would you also like to be included on that, or do you already have it?
I helped design it.
Even better.
He's in the loop. Okay, does anybody have anything else?
Could I touch one thing on, we talked about community gardens.
Mm-hmm.
How about a community orchard instead as a consideration? Because community gardens are out there plucking weeds and everything else, but a community orchard, the trees go in, now it's gonna take 5 years, but it's in some respects a lot easier to take care of. And the stuff you get off of it isn't lettuce, it's peaches that you can't get in the.
There's a pear tree somebody has in my neighborhood, and it's amazing. People have been coming by and getting all kinds of pears off of
Yeah.
it. So yeah, yeah.
I had an orange tree in California, and I got all the oranges that were above this height because it was in my front yard.
Did you have a place in mind or a strategy?
I like the Tunsil house, but that was a negative for the garden, but it might well fit in with the old style business of growing your own fruit and stuff. Or I'll try to think of other places. Sometimes in the parks, but I thought about pomegranate trees running instead of crepe myrtles down the roadways.
Yeah.
Of course, Darwin might come into play when people go out there to try to pick. Cars are whipping by.
Probably would.
Yeah. Well, now that we know that there is a volunteer capacity that may be interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one in our community park where the power lines go down. As you come in from Laura Duncan, there's some power lines. I don't know whether something like that would be a good place. The problem I think you have is what I had in California. They're going to be picked green up to the height that people can reach. But
yeah.
But it just seems like an easier thing to do than a regular garden, and more value coming out of it.
Yeah. Let's keep thinking. Do you all support thinking about this potentially? Okay.
Thank you.
Speaking of crepe myrtles, do any of you have crepe myrtles? And did they get the bark scale?
No, mine hasn't.
No, mine is fine.
Okay, so
The
I've been
other
half
half
a
of
mile
the
away.
did.
yeah, so this illustrates really the importance of us recommending a variety of landscape plantings, not just a monoculture. So across the way on Grand Central Station in the Villages, every house had a crepe myrtle, and they all got this crepe myrtle bark scale insect. And it doesn't usually kill them, but it feeds on the sap and produces a tremendous amount of honeydew, which was like dripping from the trees during the drought. It was like you could be like getting dropped on. And then of course it was making the sidewalks all sticky, and you were getting other insects that like sugary stuff. And then it also puts sooty mold, black sooty mold on the tree itself. And so it just ripped through there. I mean, every tree in. And so they've tried to mitigate. I'm not sure. I know what they did. I hope it's successful. But it really is a good illustration of the importance of a variety of.
They should have planted pomegranates in between.
They should
Yes.
have, yeah, or maybe every other or every few.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
Service berry.
And you can eat
Exact- yeah.
pomegranates.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I do have something
Sure.
that I want to loop back around. We were talking about, alternative loans, and past meeting or one of the past meetings. And I had said that I'd come up with some.
mhm.
It's actually a little more difficult than I could find, but I did find a website that specifically talked about it. And we've got 3 different varieties: creeping phlox, scarlet strawberries, which is right Fragrea virginiana, and wild ginger
As a lawn?
as lawn alternatives is what they were suggesting. The wild ginger, I'm not sure I can see. The creeping
No.
phlox and the strawberries, yeah, I could see the mix of the two.
Mix, yeah, maybe in with clover or something
Yeah,
like
with
that.
clover or something, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if you can think of any others, we can add to the list too. But I think it's great that we're all doing the alternative of the clover lawns, but it's the same problem. It's a monoculture,
Mhm. Yeah.
so we need to. I love the hey, don't do anything lawn, and just all kinds of stuff comes up. But
From a distance, it's green.
it's green. Eh.
It is legit.
You leave it alone during the spring, you got dandelions come up. Well, yeah, anyways, you
Yeah.
want me. But
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jason. Yeah. Okay. I'll do some looking too, and if anybody else has an interest of looking into alternative lawns, that would be helpful as well. Because clover is not going to survive in every situation.
no, now there is a company out there that does flowering lawns. They call it the Flown.
Of course they do.
Yeah. So, but they're not necessarily native, so
Yeah.
I don't know how we feel about that.
Okay. All right.
One final thing.
Sure.
I promise. Leaf and Limb
Mhm.
was mentioned here. They have, and you probably all know about it, Project Pando.
Mhm.
I knew nothing about it. Okay, so you're way ahead of me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just learned about it. One of the things they need is volunteers to collect tree seeds and nuts. I've been doing that. I've been learning a lot about trees from that. And they've got a wonderful website, Project Pando, that tells you when all these seeds are ripening and what they look like, and it's just a world of information. I just thought I would bring that up if anybody wants to look kind of foolish like I do, walking down the street, picking up things that are on the ground, and saving them and sending them in. And if you want, if you do decide to and you need somebody to bring them, I go into Raleigh once a month. I can drop them off because that's where their drop off is. Anyhow, that's
Great.
it. I promise no more.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion made.
All right. Second.
Second.
John. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right. Thank you all. We are adjourned. Remember to leave your leaves. We are in fall.